Hi everyone, Steph from Heart Spark Hypnotherapy here. I wanted to share today some tips that I have for when symptoms are feeling overwhelming. And these are things that I did. So of course, I'm just sharing from my experience and my perspective. Take what helps you and leave whatever doesn't. So when I was sick, I would often have periods of time where symptoms felt really overwhelming. I have a whole story if you want to see and hear all like over 100 of the symptoms. But basically, one of the most helpful things that I would do was when I noticed that the symptom was starting to overwhelm me, that's kind of like step one, right? Is like noticing like, okay, I'm feeling super overwhelmed by this, fatigue, pain, dizziness, whatever it was, fear, thought. It could be a thought or like anxiety, sensation in the body, whatever it is, right? So the first step is that I would pause and just go kind of like inside my mind mentally. So instead of like thinking of all the things outside of me or around me, I would just pause and kind of bring my focus into myself. And then I would take stock. So this is like, check in. I would check in basically and say, what's going on inside? So I would notice, oh, there's a sensation, oh, there's a feeling or an emotion. And I would ask myself, like, what is it? And just see, and just kind of notice. And then I would ask myself, am I afraid? And the answer was almost always yes. By doing so, I realized that a lot of the symptoms and thoughts about the symptoms were revolving around fear, right? So what I would do for myself at that point, knowing that I'm feeling afraid and I'm feeling all this other stuff, is I would take a moment to do some like visualization. So if you do a brain retraining program, you can call it a round or a visualization. If you meditate, maybe you would meditate. I like to do hypnosis, so I would do self-hypnosis, but I would just basically go in my mind and I would find a quiet place to do this, and I would either lay down or whatever I had. If I could sit, I would sit, and I would just envision myself in a safe place in my mind. So for me, it was, I still use this place, but I love going to this beautiful grassy meadow that's like surrounded by trees. And I would just imagine, like there's a nice picnic blanket or something there set up, and then someone or something that feels very safe. So for me, I would imagine sometimes like a golden retriever dog that is like knows all these things, like it's the voices of all the people who love and help me combined or something, so I would imagine like, oh, my dog's there, and I go and I sit with my dog and just sit there and just sharing like, hey, I'm feeling scared with my dog, and see like, oh, my dog might come over and like, put its head on me and help be there with me while I'm feeling the scared. Sometimes it would be a person, like a family member that really loves me. And then just take a moment to notice, how I feel, like, and let that settle in. And then afterwards, just do that for a few moments. And then afterwards, I would pick one thing that I was going to do that day that was like a nice for me thing to do. So that could be reading a book, playing a game. It could be taking a nap, sitting in the sun, looking out the window. It just depends on, what you like to do. But that was pretty much what I would do when I was overwhelmed with some of the symptoms that I had. And it didn't necessarily change things immediately. Sometimes there would be these miraculous times where I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. But a lot of times it just helped me settle a little bit, and that was kind of enough. And then over time, doing it over and over and over was when I really noticed big changes. So I hope that's a helpful tip, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. As always, you can DM me or check out my website if you'd like more info. If this is helpful and you want to, pick my brain, feel free to message me. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye.